and welcome to my very first book review. And the honor of first book review goes to Percy Jackson #1, The Lightning Thief by Rick Riordan. Warning, warning, spoilers ahead, spoilers ahead. So first the plot. The main character is Percy Jackson, also known as Percy Jackson, a demigod in the modern day. In the first installment of the series, Percy has been wrongfully blamed for stealing the thunderbolt of Zeus. He must now go on a quest to clear his and his father's name and find the lightning bolt. Okay, so I really like the plot. I think it's really original and that it's a new idea and it hasn't been overdone, like vampires. So moving on to writing style. I like the writing style of this novel. It's straightforward and pleasing. I also like the fact that the book was written in like a journal style from Percy's perspective. Because of this, we also get a insight into a demigod's mind. Next, we have the characters. All the characters so far in the series are good, they're rounded out, and they have interesting personalities. All of the characters have their own quirks, which can be explained by their backstory, which makes them really interesting. So moving on to my dislikes of the novel. I didn't like that Percy was only 12 years old in the novel. I didn't think that all of the stuff that he did was believable for a 12-year-old, plus who would let a 12-year-old roam around America? I don't know about the States, but here in Canada they would have a Amber Alert out for any missing 12-year-old. The only other thing I disliked was the ADHD blaming. From my understanding, all of the demigods have ADHD because of the way their brain is hardwired for ancient Greek and Latin and all that, and all the fighting and everything. So I don't think it's quite fair to blame it on the ADHD. I think it's more of a character trait of demigods. A lot of the times in the book, Percy would do something instinctive or rash, and he would always blame it on his ADHD, but I think it's more of a trait of being an actual demigod than the ADHD. So that was just kind of something I didn't like, him blaming it always on the ADHD, and I think it was more of just a character trait than a medical reason. Moving on to what I liked about the book, I have a lot of things that I really liked about the book. I loved the insults between Percy and Annabeth. Annabeth's were always about the sea because of Percy's father being Poseidon, so it always had an ocean/sea vibe to it, so she calls him Seaweed Head and everything like that, and I just thought that was hilarious. And then Percy's version is calling Annabeth Wise Girl because her mom's Athena, the Wise. So I just thought that was really funny and interesting and a bit quirky, which is good. I love the way the author infuses Greek mythology into the books, so if you don't have to know a ton about Greek mythology going in, you learn as you go along, as does Percy. I love that Annabeth and Grover have a backstory. It just gives their characters so much depth and the reason why they do the things they do. And some characters in other series, the authors don't really do that. They don't give them a backstory, which I think is not that good. I know this isn't the first time we've seen this, but I love that it's human belief in the gods, which is what fuels them. I also loved how the seat of the West moved, so it used to be in Greece and now it's in modern day America, so wherever the West is where the seat of the West goes, so the gods follow it. I thought that was really interesting and a cool idea. I love the involvement of the gods. They don't just sit up on their thrones up in the sky. Like we have Ares that's on his motorbike that comes and visits Percy and Annabeth and Grover. I also love that each god has their own quirks, like Ares is a biker and Hermes is like a jogger and Poseidon is like a surfer dude and Zeus is all high and mighty. I just loved that. I thought it was so great to give human qualities to the gods, human quirks, and it was just hilarious to watch each of them and how they were unfolded as characters. I also liked how they showed being a demigod and having a god for a parent wasn't all kittens and sunshine. Wait a minute. I have a kitten? I have sunshine. I must be a demigod! Lastly, I love that Rick Riordan brought in some other Greek books like Homer's The Iliad and the Odyssey into the book. He made references to them, like the mist reference. I just thought that was really well done, bringing something that already exists into your fantasy series, and so cool. If you guys haven't read the Iliad or the Odyssey, I really recommend it. It's been a while since I've read it, but it's a good read. So now on to the other category, just other stuff I want to talk about. So I have seen the Percy Jackson first movie based on the first book, The Lightning Thief. Because I saw it, I knew that Luke eventually betrays Percy, and because I knew that, I saw all of the little pieces linking us to Luke betraying Percy, but because I knew that was happening, that was the only thing I saw. I wasn't able to take in anything else, so I wasn't really able to see the game that Ares was playing with Percy and stuff like that, so I missed the little details because I already knew what was going to happen, so all I could see was what I knew was going to happen. And you could also see in the book that the author is focused on making it into a series, so we get the introduction of the big bad, which is Kronos, Zeus's and Poseidon's and Hades' father, but we don't really get into it too much. It's more about Percy's first quest, but you can see how it's going to be coming up later on in the series again. So, overall, I give this book 4 out of 5 stars. Overall, this has been a really good book and one I definitely recommend you read. It has an interesting plot, but it's not predictable. It has enough real-life info and Greek mythology to give it substance. So overall, a good start to the series. Next time, we're going to be moving on to Book 2 of the Percy Jackson series, The Sea of Monsters. Will the second book be as good as the first? Let's find out. This is Christine, signing off.